Welcome to Invest. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development. As the current time of 9:24 a.m. on Eastern Time, Ethereum contract $3,043, up about 0.09% so far. Respect to over crypto markets, see clearly on this Saturday morning, or this Easter weekend so far, it's been just gliding on a sideways fashion. We opened just $2 below the current price level. And across the last 48 hours, we've been just kind of gliding on the same level so far. So it seems like we're really consolidating with lack of activity. But is that a good thing or a bad thing? So I did some analysis, look at the pattern on a holistic level, and I identified there's something that we might want to be, aware of. So I'll dive into technicals in a bit. Before I do that, I just want to say happy Saturday and also have a great Easter weekend ahead as well. And let's just dive into technical analysis. Respect to recording time again of 9:25 a.m. on Eastern Time. Ethereum again at $3,043, up about 0.09% so far. And although on over crypto market, the altcoin are a little bit more, prominently up, while the key coins are just traded on sideways fashion, being flat for the last, again, 24 to 40 hours so far. And something that I'm noticing is that Ethereum has been giving up a lot of pressure, which makes sense, right? Because we were extremely overstretched for quite some time as we were hitting to the 3,581, and then kind of gave up, right? And then eventually sell down to the first level of the 3350 all the way to 3158, which is something that we've been watching, on a day-to-day basis. And then subsequently, as we broke that level as well, which is a monumental level, we cracked down below to approximately somewhere around like 2,950. And ever since as we got that level, we've been kind of consolidating on a zigzag level, right? And this seems very much like a wedge that's being formed. But a directional thing that I'm trying to understand is like which side of the coin are we trying to get at? Is this a rising wedge or is this ascending wedge? So a rising wedge would be, the apex or the triangular peak would tend to be peaking upward, right? And that typically is a negative pattern, right? As you get the peak up, it will subsequently sell down because the lack of momentum and also buyers' interest to buy in. So when you see a lack of patience from the whales, it will trigger an incentive to either take some profit, and that will be a domino effect on driving the market to sell off from there. However, if that was the other case around, right? Let's say this is a downward wedge, which you see the needle, which is the the tightening of the consolidation. The needle, or not the needle, like the pointy thing is pointing downward. It will triangulate into a incentive for the whales to be buying in because of the lack of volume. At the same time, buyers might be more interested in buying because there's a lack of pressure, and by doing so, it will kind of replenish the momentum, allow for some of the impatient short-term investors to be chasing in, and that should subsequently translate into a surge up to the next level, right? And typically, if we were to be having that downward wedge, it will basically break above 3158 and then try to linger in between the levels, right? So this is a level we need to look out for. Is this an upward triangle or a downward triangle? Seems like right now, I would say it seems more like a downward triangle to me, but I'm not 100% certain because it's kind of like we're neutral right now. We don't really have a one side of the direction that we're heading to. And on top of the fact that with respect to the current setup, we are at the 45 out of 70, and at the same time we've been crossing down for quite some time now. So indicating that this is a downward wedge rather than an upward wedge makes more logical sense to me, right? So that's just my point of view. Ultimately, I'm looking at the chart on foreshadowing what can be the next level of either up or down from this current setup right now. So I think might worth out our time to study this a little bit more together, which we will be doing on a day-to-day basis anyways. Respect to Bitcoin, I would say it's a comparable wedge that we're also forming as well. This seems very neutral, right? It doesn't seem like there is a one way or the other that we're really leading up to. But good thing is that we know that we are at the 41.70. So I think this is a downward wedge more than an upward wedge, if you may, right? Downward wedge is positive. Upward wedge is negative. Okay, something to think about. Respect to Ethereum Classic, we are. It seems like we're forming something similar, but I think this is a downward wedge clearly. If you really drag it out, right, you could see that this is like a downward, right? And then you could see, if you look at the level of this one, the needle or the apex, the cross section seems very much like it's a downward trend, then an upward trend from here, right? And what that means is as we squeeze tighter and tighter and tighter, this will triangulate into something like this, and it will go up from there, right? I know it's it should be going up, not down from here, right? So that's something we want to think about if that's how it's gonna play out. And I think this seems more like a downward trend than an upward trend, right? Like, feel free to correct me if I'm not looking at it correctly. In respect to Dogecoin, this seems very much like an upward trend. You can see it, right? Like, if you look into it, this seems like an upward triangle, right? And as you get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter, and you can see that we're already 53 out of 70. You could technically leap up to get like 15 or 16 cents, but then give up from there. So not the best setup in terms of Dogecoin, right? Cardano is flat as well. At the moment, at the 42 out of 70, I think this is like a similar wedge pattern that we're also forming and comparable to, how Ethereum is doing right now. So, look out for the needle, which side is driving to, right? If it was positive, right, which I think there's a likelihood that it will be 102 to 119 from there. And then Solana, 1.5% so far. This is just abnormality in the market. You could see that how much of the euphoria we pumped up all the way to 150. Now we gave up like $50 basically across the board, levitating around $100. But it's good thing is that with the 45 of 70, we crossed down for quite some time now. So this is not terrible in terms of incurring risk. So 100 anywhere to like 92.85 from here would be fair game. XRP is up about 1.08%. You can see that we are lingering around the resistance level of the 78, which is exactly what we talked about. But would I be buying now, right? I think we might have more surge pressure coming because of we're about to form a golden cross at the same time. The RSI is kind of canceled out at the 50, where you can see that it's kind of dipping down because of the next leap up is a monumental one, 11 cents leap up, right? So that's a lot. So we could potentially get there, but like 82 might be it in terms of like the risk versus reward ratio from here. So not the best, Polkadot up about 2.7%. This seems like a wedge as well. This seems like an upward one though, so it's funky, I would say. But in terms of like the reward ratio with the 42 out of 70 curving up right now, so I think Polkadot it's kind of mixed, I would say. But in terms of the bottom, I think we are relatively near it. Like anywhere from basically 17 below is fair game to DCA. Algorand, I would say, yeah, fair game as well. It seems like we're upward wedge, so we might sell back down a little bit more and continue to zigzag downwards based on you could see that this is clearly like an upward, right? So with the 41 out of 70, so potentially selling and cracking below the lowest level we ever got to, the 67 cents, can be possible. But that's about it, I would say. We might retouch the 67 and then recuperate back up to continue the the recuperation back up to a normal cadence. And then Shiba Inu 2100, 1400, 900. This is just, I don't even know what pattern this is. This is just manipulations and very funky stuff going on right now with the 52 out of 70. Definitely not ideal to DCA right now. Polygon flat as well. Another wedge forming, 42 out of 70. Seems like we have to really look at the thing, right? This is like kind of mixed right now. It seems more like an upward than a downward, but it's good that we're still relatively depleted. So it's kind of mixed signal across the board for Polygon. AVAX is Same thing. I would say the Wedge is still quite weird looking. It's quite neutral across the board. It's not like one side up or one side down. 42 out of 70. In terms of risk for reward ratio, I think personally, if I was to buy for the first time, 60 to 50 from here. And then lastly for Luna, it's just selling off and like with really poor momentum as well. We are forming a W, so that's a good thing. But we need to wait until the MACD to kind of consolidate, cool back down first. And a good level for us to understand is that if we break 75 or somewhere around there, we have a long way to come down, right? So I would be cautious, but I would start touching maybe somewhere at 60 to 75. But if we break it, 62, 52, 45 from here. Okay? So hopefully this is helpful. Appreciate you for joining me on this Saturday again. Have a good weekend, and I'll watch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.